Suppose for a moment a young couple deeply in love with one another was told that their dream home was in grave danger. This home reminded them of all the joys, all the happinesses that they had formed together. They couldn't afford to build another home, and on top of that, this home was exquisite, beautiful, and worthy. Yet they were informed one day that there was a 50% chance that it would burn to the ground with little to no warning. They're told there would be no life loss. The house, however, would be totally lost, destroyed. Now suppose there was a solution, though, to this grave danger. But there was only a single option. The couple was given a solution that required a small investment of their time each week, some self-discipline, and a commitment to their married couple life together. But it would reduce the odds of their house burning to the ground almost entirely. The 50% chance of their home burning to the ground, it would be reduced to something close to just 2%. If given that scenario, what do you think that couple would do? How do you think they would react? They would probably be thankful that they were told this information. And I imagine they would immediately begin to make the changes needed to guarantee the safety of that home. I give you this scenario because it can be an apt comparison, preserving something immeasurably more value than even a home. Marriage. Metaphorically speaking, burned down to the ground in this country is a rate of approximately 50% of our marriages today, or some say even higher than 50%. But there's a single lifestyle change that a married couple can make which immediately puts them into a group of people who, statistically speaking, demonstrate a divorce rate of only just 2%. One single action that can change that. Interestingly enough, this lifestyle change is simply to follow the church's teaching in regard to planning one's family. In a nutshell, the church speaks out against contraception. And the church calls people to embrace one of the forms of natural family planning which the church approves to help to organize one's family. Study, clinical experience, and the experience of natural family planning users has shown that divorce rates of couples who follow the church's teaching on this matter and practice natural family planning have a remarkably improved track record of preserving their love, which is central to a successful marriage. Divorce rates for those who follow the church's teaching drop into the single digits. That's huge today. That's huge. And relatively speaking, it's such a simple change. I think we've all got to admit, if we value marriage in general, if we value marriages we are in, and if we value doing everything we can to ensure our children have a successful marriage, that it's at least reasonable to consider the church's teachings on this matter. If we do everything we could to preserve a home from burning to the ground, then how much more should we work to preserve our marriages? With this in mind, the Church insists that this teaching related to sanctity of marriage comes from God Himself, who created us, the God who knows the acts that lead to our human flourishing. God knows which human acts cause damage to human relationships. It's for this reason that Humani Vitae, a document that I encourage all of you, take the time to read it. Take the time to see what the Church has to say. In one of its paragraphs, it states, "Another effect that gives cause for alarm is that a man who grows accustomed to the use of contraceptive methods may forget the reverence due to a woman and reduce her to being a mere instrument for the satisfaction of his own desires, no longer considering her as his partner whom he should surround with care and affection." Consider the divorce rate in society, how it's skyrocketed since the advent of contraception. It's at least not possible that these methods do indeed cause men and women to forget the reverence that's due to one another. The Church not only says it's possible, but this does indeed occur, and that God, who loves us so much, is calling us to something greater. He's calling us to something greater. And this is key. He's calling us for our own good. He's doing it for you, for your own good. Just as he called Adam and Eve to avoid eating that fruit from that tree in the middle of the garden, lest they die. He calls us to aspire to something greater for our own good, for our own good. The Mayo Clinic itself has stated that in some situations, hormonal contraceptives increase a woman's risk for developing breast cancer. Countless other studies have demonstrated that these methods increase the percentage of women who develop blood clots, heart disease, infertility, cervical cancer, and a whole host of other physical problems. Treating a woman's body and fertility as a disease is not pro-woman at all, and is not worthy of the respect, reverence, and love that is due to a daughter of God. As God is the author of marriage, so too He is the one who teaches us how to live it out. Married love, particularly, reveals its true nature and nobility when we realize that it takes its origin from God, who is love, the Father from whom every family in heaven and on earth is named. And that's a direct quote from Humani Vitae on this subject. And I think it gets at the sense of the sacredness that must always be preserved when we approach this union between a woman and a man who's involved in the transmission of human life. All of this, by the way, was taught by a person who knew something about genuine love. That person was Blessed Mother Teresa. She ceaselessly spoke on this subject. And in her most succinct form, she said this: "The way to plan the family is natural family planning, not contraception." There are so many more eloquent things she said regarding this subject, But I think if she were here today and was asked about the challenges required to follow the church's teaching on this matter, she would simply say this: it's worth it. It's worth it. In short, I'd like to encourage you to love God with all your mind by studying in more depth the reasons for the church's teaching on this issue. The church has always taught and always will teach that, objectively speaking, the use of contraception is a grave sin. Find out why. Find out for yourselves why the church teaches that what she does. God wants you to be educated. I believe if you do this, you'll find behind the challenge the voice of a loving God who's speaking to you. This evening, as you leave church, we have tons of free material in the bell tower. You're welcome to take as much of it as you'd like. Educate yourself on this issue. Find out why the church teaches what she does. Our God is a loving God.